This painting depicts men of the 7th Regiment of Foot as they would have appeared on campaign during the American War of Independence. As you can see on their red coats, they have blue facings, indicating that they are a royal regiment. Upon these facings would be lace pattern that would be unique to that particular regiment. Between the lace pattern and the facing color, a trained eye could distinguish what regiment a man was from at glance. The 4 men on the outside are all wearing fatigue caps. These caps would have been worn when the men were busy with non-battlefield duties, as they were more comfortable and easier to replace. The man in the middle, though, is wearing a cocked hat. His Majesty's 7th Regiment of Foot, the Royal Fusiliers, were a British Line Infantry regiment founded in 1785 by George Legge, 1st Baron Dartmouth. It was originally called the Ordnance Regiment and were noted for being armed with the new flintlock fusils as opposed to the standard matchlock muskets of the time. They were originally tasked with protecting artillery wagons due to their weapons not needing a constantly burning match to operate, and therefore being much safer around the many barrels of gunpowder used by the artillery. Just before the American Revolution, the 7th was sent to Canada in 1773. During the American invasion of Canada in 1775-76, most of the regiment were forced to surrender, including an 80-man garrison at Fort Chambly. It was here that the regiment lost its first set of regimental colors, or flags, which identified the regiment. On one of these flags would have been a badge unique to their unit. I have recreated that badge just to the right in this painting. The men of the 7th were exchanged in British-held New York City in December of 1776, and it was here that the regiment was rebuilt and helped garrison the city. In October the following year, the unit participated in the successful assaults on Fort Clinton and Montgomery. In late November, they reinforced the garrison of Philadelphia. In 1778, they participated in the Battle of Monmouth. In 1780, the regiment headed south of Cornwallis's army. In April, they captured Charlestown and later garrisoned it. From here, individual companies and detachments of the 7th were sent all over South Carolina to train Loyalist militia units. By this point in the war, the 7th Regiment was seen by many to be one of the best trained and most disciplined units in the entire British Army. In September 1780, men of the 7th were mounted and sent to join Cornwallis as he advanced toward Charlotte, North Carolina, clearing the area of northern South Carolina of partisans while en route. Once they joined the army, they served as the rear guard. In January 1781, 171 men of the Royal Fusiliers were detached from Cornwallis's main army and fought under the command of Banastre Tarleton at the Battle of Cowpens. It was after the defeat of Cowpens that the regiment's colors were again captured. The final action of the 7th Regiment was at the siege of Yorktown. The regiment's men that had remained to garrison Charlestown were referred to Savannah, Georgia, in December 1781, with the entire regiment returning to England or taking land grants in Canada in 1783. To tell a bit more of a descriptive story of the American invasion of Canada, I quote part of the book The Historical Record of the 7th Regiment of Royal Fusiliers by Richard Cannon. The American commander turned the siege into a blockade and invaded Fort Chambly, where Major, the Honorable Joseph Stopford of the Royal Fusiliers, and about 80 men were in garrison. This post kept up communications between St. John's and Montreal, but the works were not in good condition. The place was deemed capable of resisting artillery, and no effectual resistance could, consequently, be made against the very superior numbers of the enemy. The garrison surrendered on the 20th of October. After the success, Colonel Montgomery resumed the siege of St. John's. The 7th and the 26th Regiments made a determined resistance. The hardships they endured were borne with patience. They were often knee-deep in mire, and were reduced to half allowance of provision, yet they held out with the most heroic bravery until their strength was exhausted, and no chance of being relieved remained when they surrendered. Thus, at the commencement of the war, the Royal Fusiliers were nearly made all prisoners. Quebec was besieged by the 2 divisions of Americans under Colonel Montgomery and Arnold, and the garrison, of which 60 men of the Royal Fusiliers formed part, defended the place with firmness and intrepidity. The winter was particularly severe, and the soldiers of both sides served amidst ice and snow. About 5 o'clock in the morning of the 31st of December, during a storm of sleet and snow, the Americans made a general assault with the view of carrying the place by storm, but the garrison withstood the tempest of war with such determined resolution that the storming party was repulsed, with the loss of between 600 and 700 men. Colonel Montgomery was killed, and Colonel Arnold wounded. The garrison only lost 1 officer and 4 private soldiers killed, and 7 private soldiers wounded. On that 6th of the month, Lieutenant General Carleton marched out of the fortress at the head of the garrison to attack the American camp. When the besieging army made a retreat, leaving everything behind, the British followed their opponents up the country, recovered Montreal, and drove the Americans out of Canada.
Hi everyone, I hope you all enjoyed that. This was the painting. It took a while, but I got it out, okay? Okay, I hope you'll enjoy that. There's more stuff to come. Obviously, I've got some Claude Monet stuff planned out, but I'm also thinking of writing some like little short speeches, I guess, on just stuff on like art history or like even like just general history. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye!